Guild
Guild
Wars
Wars
3,
3,
The
The
Golden
Golden
Age
Age
Foundations of a
Foundations of a
Verdant
Verdant Past.
Past. 1. The primacy of the Golden Age in Tyrian history. The era known as the Golden Age represents the primordial tapestry upon which the entire history of our world is woven. To the modern scholar, this epoch is far more than a mere chronological precursor. It is the pre-cataclysmic zenith, a period of such profound metaphysical and structural stability that it serves as the essential lens through which the narrative stakes of our looming destiny must be viewed. Grasping the intricacies of this era is not a mere academic exercise, but a strategic necessity for understanding why the foundations of the past continue to tremble beneath the feet of the present. As the historical anchor for the continent, the Golden Age established the theological and geopolitical bedrock of Tyrian identity. It was the meridian of civilization, a baseline of perfection from which all subsequent eras are measured as a slow, agonizing descent. The significance of this designation lies in its role as the catalyst for the continent's transformations. Every conflict, every surge of magic, and every shift in the balance of power in the modern age finds its genesis in the relative peace and divine order of this ancient time. The defining traits of the Golden Age include the verdant apex, an era where the natural world flourished in absolute harmony, untainted by the necrotic rot of later centuries. The divine architectonic, a period defined by the tangible presence of the six gods, whose direct influence structured the laws of reality and society. The causal foundation, a temporal anchor that set into motion the immutable cycle of rise and fall, dictating the eventual conclusion of the Tyrian arc. This unparalleled flourishing of life and spirit found its most radiant expression in the geographic and spiritual sanctuary of the world, the peninsula of Or. 2. Or the verdant paradise before the cataclysm. Long before it was reduced to a maritime graveyard of black salt and necrotic bone, Or stood as the radiant jewel of the world, a living paradise of such staggering beauty that it was deemed the only fit habitation for the gods themselves. To contrast the ancient flourishing peninsula with the sunken tomb of the undead we know today is to witness the most tragic transformation in the Tyrian Chronicle. This loss represents more than the destruction of a landmass. It was the severing of the world's primary artery of life and divine favor. The social and environmental implications of a verdant Or suggest a civilization that was the unchallenged heart of human progression. In this era, Or likely functioned as a centralized theocracy where the economy was governed not by scarcity, but by the overflowing abundance of life magic. Socially, the Orian people lived in a state of perpetual proximity to the divine, creating a culture defined by monumental architecture and a profound sense of security. Geopolitically, the prosperity of this verdant Or acted as a stabilizing force for the entire continent, serving as a beacon of civilization that tethered the surrounding tribal lands to a singular divine purpose. Or, the Great Transformation, the Golden Age, the future legacy, a lush sanctuary of eternal spring and life magic, a necrotic wasteland submerged beneath the waves, the thriving seat of theocratic power and human zenith, domain of Jaitan and the Risen, a site of eternal rot, a beacon of divine order and agricultural abundance. A maritime graveyard defined by the silence of the gods. The spiritual vitality and material wealth of Or were no mere accidents of geography. They were the direct result of the inescapable divine presence that defined the very air of the era. 3. The dawn of the six gods and divine influence. The arrival of the six gods stands as the singular, transformative event that birthed the Golden Age. Stepping through the mist into our world, they acted as the supreme architects of both the physical and spiritual landscape. This dawn was far more than a religious milestone. It was a civilizational reset that fundamentally altered the vibration of Tyria. The gods did not merely observe the budding races, they actively witnessed and influenced the development of law, magic, and the very philosophy of existence, ensuring that their fingerprints would remain on the soul of the world forever. The relationship between this divine emergence and the flourishing of Tyria is one of direct causality. The Golden Age was the dawn precisely because the light of the six banished the primordial chaos that preceded them. However, this beginning also carried the seeds of the eventual end. By establishing the structures of power and the flow of magic, the gods inadvertently dictated the karmic cycle of the continent. The emergence of divine order created the very height from which the world would eventually fall, making the arrival of the six, the primary engine for every triumph and tragedy that follows in the Tyrian timeline. As the ancient chronicles aptly record regarding this pivotal moment, witness the dawn of the six gods and discover why this ancient era dictates the fate of all Tyria. Divine origin established a narrative momentum so powerful that the modern world remains caught in its wake, drifting toward an inescapable conclusion. 4. Conclusion. The long shadow of the ancient era. The relationship between the ancient Golden Age and the unfolding future of Tyria is one of grim historical inevitability. The events of this era, the zenith of Or and the intervention of the Six, did not merely happen, they set the parameters for all that is possible. This centuries-old era remains the dominant force in our current age because it defined the stakes of the struggle. The Golden Age is the shadow that looms over every modern conflict, reminding us that the current state of Tyria is but a fragmented reflection of a lost perfection. To understand the looming destiny of the races is to recognize that we are simply living out the final chapters of a story that began in the verdant fields of an unfallen Or. Historical summary. The verdant benchmark. The original state of Tyria, specifically Or, serves as the definitive measure of world stability and health. The transition from a living paradise to a sunken tomb illustrates the cyclical nature of Tyrian history. Second, the theological bedrock. The dawn of the six gods was the catalyst for all modern civilization, law, and magical theory. Divine influence during the Golden Age established the spiritual trajectory that the world still follows. Third, the inevitability of the arc. The Golden Age is the primary causal force dictating the eventual conclusion of the Tyrian narrative. Current geopolitical struggles are the direct, lingering echoes of the divine order established centuries ago. The history of Tyria is not a linear progression, but a profound cycle. The heights of the Golden Age provided the very soil in which the challenges of the future were planted, ensuring that the ancient past remains the most potent architect of our destiny.